Good evening, I am Nasa Kingu. Just a reminder, you can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBC Online. And also get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook, and X pages at TBC Online. CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe has met and held talks with President Samia Suluhu Hassan in Dodoma earlier today. Dr. Motsepe is in the country to attend the African Football League official opening, which was preceded with unveiling the league's trophy. During his opening remarks, Dr. Motsepe said he is happy to see that the competition brings together football and other outstanding figures to Tanzania. He furthermore insisted that the main objective of initiating the league is to increase competition amongst African clubs.
I've emphasized from day one that we have to spread the competitions to all zones and all parts of Africa. It's very important. We've got a duty to develop football throughout the African continent. And it hasn't been, the AFCON has not been in East Africa for the last 51 years. So already that brought some focus that, we kept talking about the need to do that. But other thing as well is, people from this area did excellent work. Baberi, Suleiman, the whole team, because you've got to convince and persuade, and you, Minister.
The inaugural African Football League campaign kicked off with a match which has just ended between Tanzania's side, Simba Football Club, against Al Ahly from Egypt. And what a match it was. The president of Zanzibar, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, calls on African countries and human rights institutions to continue taking steps to strengthen the protection of human and people's rights and fully address the existing challenges. President Dr. Mwinyi made the call while opening the 77th session of the African Commission on People and Human Rights, insisting Tanzania has established a Commission on Human Rights to ensure good governance that aim to defend, protect, and preserve human rights in the country. Here's a report by Tetelela Kongola, read by Faithan Gaga.
Members of the 77th session of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights are meeting here in Arusha to discuss various human and people's rights. The president of Zanzibar and the chairman of the Revolutionary Council, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, representing President Samia Suluhu Hassan, says African continent honors human rights based on African culture and values.
Bara la Afrika na Tanzania kwa umahususi wake tunaheshimu haki za binadamu.
The African continent and specifically Tanzania respects human rights while also putting into consideration our culture and traditions. The government of United Republic of Tanzania safeguards human rights in accordance with the Constitution of Tanzania, the rule of law and other procedures.
On the other hand, President Dr. Mwinyi says the continent of Africa is still facing some challenges, including civil wars.
Miongoni mwao ni mapinduzi ya serikali zilizo madarakani.
Among them is coups against the existing governments, civil wars, harmful cultural practices, gender-based violence, negative impacts of globalization, and low understanding amongst citizens on their rights. I use this opportunity to urge all AU member countries to take all necessary steps to deal with these challenges.
The Minister of the Constitution and Legal Affairs, Ambassador Dr. Pindi Chana, says Tanzania is ready to cooperate with other African countries in matters of human and people's rights.
Tanzania is ready to cooperate with other African countries, just like how we've been cooperative in the previous administrations.
Some of the participants of the 77th session of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights commend Tanzania for being exemplary in legal and justice matters.
The Center Coordinator of the SADC Regional Counterterrorism Center, Mombi Mulenga, urges the Southern African Development Community SADC member countries to cooperate in dealing with terrorist acts in some of the member countries so as to ensure peace and stability in all 16 member countries. Helen Mabumo has more details.
It is an international center of member countries in Southern African Development Community SADC to combat terrorism. Today, it's bringing together the ambassador of the members countries targeting in discussing the effort being to deal with incidents of terrorism. The coordinator of SADC Regional Counter-Terrorism Center, RCTC, Mumbi Mulenga, said the challenge of terrorism within the member countries require joint and coordinated effort, as it when happen, it does not affect only one country.
And the only way we can succeed is by being proactive and engage in information sharing among the member states. Because as long as information is restricted and we engage in narrow and nationalistic approaches to countering terrorism, we don't stand a chance to win. We need a regional approach to confronting this threat.
The difference in policies and system to deal with terrorism is one of the challenges emerging within the member countries.
This is a conflict, or this is a threat that can only be defeated with timely sharing of information. So with not so much being done in that sphere, we are kind of...
The ambassador of Mozambique to Tanzania, who is also representative of SADC ambassadors, Ricardo Mtumbwida, said the various achievements have been made, including access of information and the method to deal with the challenge of terrorism.
The achievement of this center, it's going on. It is not in the top. So we're still going on with the, as you know, the center is set up for two phases, 2 steps. So we are now still in the first step, in just establishing the directorate and the personnel and so on.
Establishment of SADC Regional Counter-Terrorism Center aim to strengthen and to ensure the enhancement of coordination, strengthen partnership, as well as to foster timely response amongst the member countries. Henry Mabumo, TBC News, Dar es Salaam.
Thank you very much, Henry Mabumo, for that report. Now, remaining in Dar es Salaam, the Research on Poverty Alleviation Program Limited report recommends to the government to accelerate the existence of social security system, health insurance, and relevant rights of platform workers, and the regulation that will protect information of users. The recommendations were given in Dar es Salaam during the launch of the second Fair Working Conditions Report 2023 for the platform workers.
It's in our interest to see that this relationship between workers and operators are formalized, that they safeguard the working conditions, ensuring that the contracts do include provisions for these workers to the rights to social security and so forth, so that both the operators, the investors, and the employees are actually fairly compensated.
In fair pay, you talk about fair pay, you talk about fair contracts, you talk about fair conditions, you talk about fair management, you talk about fair representation. I think I can remember it's in my screen. So these issues, when you look at it, look at also the people who are serving the industry. Because even in our country, we can even decide maybe we make a system which we can ask these people to connect through the government system. But we like to promote private sectors, we like to promote investors, but we also wish everybody enjoy the services, enjoy the benefits from that provision of service.
On the other hand, a senior researcher of report, Dr. Hilda Mwakalimbuka, says the report reveals the existence of challenges arising from platform workers, including lack of social security, health insurance, contracts with fair payment, as well as proper representation.
And what we found out in this study is that almost 80% of these people are dependent on their families. Now, if they get sick, it means that this person cannot work and cannot get money. But let's remember that if someone is sent to Muhimbili Hospital, there is no one to pay for his children medication. They will not be able to go to school and they will become a burden to the nation. We advise at least drivers to be seen like other employees, health insurance, and when they retire they benefit from the Social Security Fund, because until now these platforms are not providing health insurance.
The second Fair Working Conditions Report 2023 evaluates the working conditions and labor practices of 13 platforms operating within Tanzania, including 11 ride-hailing industries, food delivery, and one specializing in artisan services for homes. The president of the East African Court of Justice, Nestor Kayombera, says more than 700 cases have been successfully addressed in the court since it was established in 2001. Emmanuel Samuel reports.
Judge Nestor made the remarks during the training of the judicial officers of the Republic of Tanzania on good governance and rule of law held in Dar es Salaam, insisting good governance and rule of law are the key fundamental principles of the community, and judges should be there too in their operations to help East African people.
This is our second time that we are here in Dar es Salaam conducting this training on good governance and the rule of law to members of the judiciaries, not only from Tanzania, but also from other partner states. Next month, we shall be in Bujumbura, where the training will involve lawyers. We've been in Uganda, we've been in Rwanda, in Kenya, and this kind of training are very important for the judges, but also for other judicial officers.
He furthermore called upon the participants to maximize on their training to improve their law interpretations and applications, comment that is supported by the Deputy Registrar of East African Court of Justice, Christine Mutumura.
95% of the cases which have been filed in our court, they are cases which relate to good governance and the rule of law and access to justice. And in those cases, we have also a number of cases which came from the United Republic of Tanzania. So it is better that the judges and other judicial officers be aware of those key principles, especially the good governance, the rule of law, access to justice.
The assumption is that everybody should be able to uphold the rule of law. And that is the purpose of the courts, to bring that to order. So through this training, the judges of Tanzania have a better understanding on the community as a whole, but also on the East African Court of Justice and its mandate.
Here some of the participants have a word on the training. We have learned about good governance, and we have learned about economic cooperation, political cooperation, and all that comes to support our citizens in a good state of development. It is our hope that after this training, we are more careful in doing our work, especially in deciding cases related to the rule of law and good governance. Emmanuel Samuel, TBC News.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel Samuel, for that report. Now from legal sector, we move now to knowledge sector. The Chief Executive Officer of the Institute of Directors in Tanzania, IODT, Saidi Baraka, urges community to develop a reading culture as part of increasing knowledge and thinking ability. He made the call during the signing ceremony of collaboration and partnership between the Institute and Elite's bookstore, which was held in Dar es Salaam.
You cannot be a leader without being a reader as well. So I'll give for you quickly, by making a reference, at least a few reasons why we need to read. Number one, reading makes us thinkers, right? We are much better, put in a picture, to think, because reading stimulates our mind, it teaches us the skill in terms of analysis and so on. And for that reason, we boost our problem-solving capabilities, and that's part of being a manager or a leader. And I would want to end up this by, again, refocusing on our collaboration.
On the other hand, the Executive Director of Elite's bookstore, Hermes Damian, says they will continue to cooperate with various companies in the country in the matter related to distribution, publishing, and sale of books in order to create productive society with knowledge through reading books. And he further challenges youth to develop a reading culture.
Friends and partners in the Institute of Directors is to have a symbol like this in every office, signifying that it could be a bad culture that we see people don't read, but we have denied, are refusing that we are not the propagators of such a culture.
The Dar es Salaam Regional Commissioner Albert Chalamila has instructed Offage Centers to ensure a friendly environment to support people with disabilities in Dar es Salaam and help them build their lives and not take advantage of them. Here is a report by Emmanuel Samuel.
Chalamila has given the instructions immediately after the launching special lavatories for students with disabilities at Jangwani Girls Secondary School, funded by the Peace Life for Persons with Disability Foundation in Dar es Salaam.
Sophia, I'm wrong. We thank you very much and we appreciate your support. In fact, you should not get tired to continue supporting us until we reach the goal. Yeah.
In addition, Chalamila warns those who take advantages of the people with disabilities, while the ambassador of the Republic of Seychelles and the director of the Peace Life for Persons with Disability Foundation urge the stakeholders to be at the forefront to support people with disabilities.
Shy kabisa and shame on them. Lawful action should be upon them immediately.
To all the stakeholders, please come and help this very, very, very good cause. Without them, without us, they cannot do it. So I really ask all the stakeholders to please come up and support this cause.
Various stakeholders have promised to contribute to the cause, while the ambassador of the Seychelles and the other stakeholders have contributed cash to the Peace Life for Persons with Disability Foundation. Emmanuel Samuel, TBC News.
Now from Dar es Salaam, we move all the way to the Tanga region, where youth who benefit from Building a Better Tomorrow BBT project in the Tanga region explain how the project has been of great value in transforming their lives, benefiting them educationally and economically. Here is a report by Betha Mwambela, read by Kanki Mwaigomole.
Through Building a Better Tomorrow BBT project, these Tanga residents have been keeping and selling poultry after initiating a project named Cuckoo Project. And here, the young people explain how they have benefited from the project.
I have gained knowledge on poultry keeping, and I now know how to do this as a business. This has enabled me to avoid temptations that result from unemployment.
Through BBT project, I have gained the skills that will enable me to be independent.
Elizabeth Swai, who is the Director of Youth and Women Rural Training economically through the project.
There are 50 young people who are currently completing this course. Through this project, each group has gotten a profit worth 6 million. The young people here have learned animal keeping and business as a whole. They have also learned how to provide extension services to their clients.
On the other hand, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries, Professor Riziki Shemdoe, urges young people to capitalize on various opportunities the BBT project provides.
Self-employment is lucrative, as you have witnessed. What we continue to do is to make sure many youth join these groups. I call upon youth to apply for such opportunities. Such opportunities are granted to anyone who is qualified.
So far, 50 young people have benefited from the Cuckoo Project with the funding of the Botna Foundation, who have allocated funds amounting to 393 million Tanzanian shillings.
Now, as today is Friday, we bring you another interesting feature on tourism. And tonight, Kanki Mwaigomole is taking us all the way to the Mwanza region, taking a look at Ruyu Island.
The beauty of Mwanza cannot be complete without mentioning the island of Ruyu, which is about 2.5 hours from Mwanza town to the island. Ruyu Island, whose appearance may mesmerize you because its beauty is more interesting with the type of birds that live on top of the rocks of this island.
The uniqueness of Ruyu Island and other islands found in Mwanza is that other islands are inhabited by people and Ruyu Island is inhabited only by birds. There is still something that still surprises everyone about Ruyu Island. The waves that hit Ruyu Island are different in each direction. Ruyu Island, which is in the middle of Lake Victoria, but most surprising, one side of the island is deeper than the other, but with different depths of each direction. The rocks of Ruyu Island have turned into white in color due to the birds that defecate on these rocks. The beauty of this island and the gentle breeze that exists can force one to stay, take pictures, swim, and make endless memories. Welcome to Mwanza. Welcome to Ruyu Island.
One amongst millions of reasons why everyone should visit Tanzania. Now, before we wind up our local news tonight, let us now have a look at today's exchange rates according to the Bank of Tanzania, BOT. Don't miss TBC News every weekday to know all the latest in exchange rates. Time now for all the latest in international news. And here is international news as compiled by Ganiya Jumbe and read by Kanki Mwaigomole.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said that the Gaza Strip needs adequate and permanent support and has called for an immediate ceasefire for the passage of humanitarian aid. Guterres said this in Cairo when he visited the Rafah border between Egypt and the Gaza Strip. He has said that they are cooperating fully with all parties, including Egypt, Israel and the U.S., so that aid trucks are allowed to enter Gaza. Earlier, the U.S. said the agreement reached was to pass the first 20 trucks. However, United Nations officials say that the provision of aid is needed on a large scale and should be sustainable. Gaza's 2.3 million people have been dependent on humanitarian aid for a long time. The Gaza area has been under attack by Israel and lacked water and food aid since the Hamas militants attacked Israel on the 7th of this month. The Israeli army says 20 children under the age of 18 are among the 200 hostages held in Gaza after the attacks. Palestinian officials say more than 4,000 people have been killed in Gaza since Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,400 people. The U.S. Congress is back in session and will soon vote in the third phase of Representative Jim Jordan as Speaker. Republican member Jim Jordan says he's moving forward with his ambition to become the Speaker of the Parliament despite a strong opposition. The Republican Party has vowed to stay in the race for Speaker despite strong opposition and losing 2 votes earlier this week. The vote is taken after Kevin McCarthy was removed from the position 2 weeks ago. The parliament has been without a leader for more than 2 weeks and has failed to pass various laws. Jordan has said he will support the plan to allow acting Speaker Patrick McHenry to lead the parliament, but the Republicans have rejected that move. During the press conference, Jordan said that he has found 200 votes and adding that he can take the few votes he lost where he needs 217 votes.
That was international news. Sports news up next. And now in sports news, Simba have been held to a 2-2 draw by Al Ahly in the inaugural match of the African Football League at Benjamin Mkapa Stadium in Dar es Salaam. Al Ahly made a first breakthrough in the stoppage time of the first half courtesy of Moroccan player Beda Slim. In the second half, Simba striker Kibu Dennis leveled the deficit to make it 1-1 before stretching the lead in the 59th minute through substitute Sadio Kanute. 4 minutes later, Rabat made it 2-2 for the visitors to balance the game. The duo meet again in Cairo, Egypt on Tuesday next week for the second leg as the winner progresses to the last 4 of the tournament. And of course, we wish all the best to Simba Football Club. The Namungo Football Club head coach Cedric Kaze says the game against Singida Big Stars will be a tough game due to the quality players the team has and the spirit from last season. Kaze insists that they plan to fight for 3 points, while the assistant coach of Singida Big Stars, they say they have had enough time for preparations for the game. The Namungo team needs 3 points to place itself in a good position in the standings. Now the team is at 14th place with 3 points, while Singida Big Stars is in the 10th place with only 5 points. And that is sports news. Now, before we conclude the news bulletin, let's take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Welcome again to the next 24 hours of the forecast, starting tonight at 9 p.m. From Tanzania Meteorological Authority, my name is Ramadhan Omar. Let's start with the windy patterns. Wind is expected to flow at 30 kilometers per hour over the southern coast and Lake Victoria, while over Lake Tanganyika, Lake Nyasa, and northern coast, wind is expected to flow at 20 kilometers per hour. In terms of temperatures, we're expecting hot temperatures over most part of our country, and the highest maximum temperature is expected to be 35 degrees Celsius over Morogoro region. Rainfall models are showing signal, especially over Lake Victoria toward western part of our country. And tonight, areas along Lake Victoria Basin, Kigoma, and the Katavi regions are expected to feature partly cloudy condition, thunder showers, while over Tanga, together with Unguja and Pemba Island, we are expecting to feature partly cloudy condition, light torrent showers over a few areas. And the remaining regions are expected to feature partly cloudy condition. And tomorrow, few areas, especially along Lake Victoria Basin, Kigoma, Katavi, and the Rukwa regions are expected to feature partly cloudy condition, thunder showers over a few areas in sun period. While over Tanga, Dar es Salaam, Pwani, together with Unguja and Pemba Island, we are expecting to feature partly cloudy condition, rain showers over a few areas. Over Northeastern Highland, Morogoro region, Lindi, and Mtwara regions are expected to feature partly cloudy condition, light rain showers over a few areas in sun periods. And the remaining regions are expected to feature partly cloudy condition and sun periods. And now, let's have a look on the next 4 days of forecast over some regions of our country. And that is all for today. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
And that marks the end of the news bulletin for tonight. Don't miss our next bulletin in Kiswahili at 11 p.m. On behalf of the whole team, I am Nasa Kingo. Good night.
TBC1, ukweli na uhakika.